just a bloke in a bar.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Packer Up, boys. Oh, yeah, time to get the cans out. Beautiful stuff. Packer Up, boys, brought to you by Bloke Beer, the beer of Australian sport. Look, it's beer for blokes to turn up for family, mates, and good times. And look, it's also the beer of rugby league. You know this. As always, guys, it's Packer Up, boys. So you just put your troubles aside. You had a big week. Enjoy your weekend. Don't hang your hat on all the negative stuff. Hang it on the good stuff. Focus on the good stuff. And just cruise on. You can always get into Monday and pick up all the bad shit that you had to deal with last week. So Saturday, Sunday, enjoy yourself. The big fella Sandor is here. How you going, brother?
Good, brother, good. Yeah, I like that little pre-game speech there. This week's already happened. The weekend hasn't happened yet. Crack a bloke open and just have a beer with the boys.
Just pack it up. Pack her up, put it in a box. It does like you think it. Look, put it this way: you thinking about it on Saturday and Sunday does nothing for no one except make your weekend worse.
Put the feet up.
Literally, put the feet up. You've earned it. How's your week been, mate?
Good, brother. Good. We just kicked off new program, so for the bloke lads out there out in Western Sydney looking to go from dad bod to bloat FC.
Okay,
come and check me out.
Okay, the Grouse Hill.
The Grouse Hill.
Matty, how you been, bros?
Good. I've just been lying around watching shit I never usually watch. I found myself watching badminton for 45 minutes the other day. Fencing, yeah. Just anything that's just quietly available and on.
Just quietly, I used to absolutely dominate in badminton at school.
What?
I could, mate, HBE would absolutely crush the rest of the class. Granted, was it a very sporty year? No, it wasn't a very sporty year. It wasn't necessarily a sporty school, but used to crush.
That explains the state record as well then.
And another disclaimer, guys. Packer Up, boys. We speak about whatever. You know, we will get to the rugby league, but we speak about whatever. So if you hear just rugby league, that's going to be a bit later. Initially, we just talk about whatever. If you don't enjoy it, that's totally fine. There's plenty of other podcasts. If you do, we really do appreciate it. Matter of fact, it's actually been surprising at how many downloads Packer Up, boys gets, because it is genuinely was created as just like just a fun thing, just to be able to. Honestly, it was more for our own selfish needs of like, let's just talk about something else other than rugby league. Because you talk about rugby league so much, sometimes you want to talk about some other stuff. Don't forget, guys, Packer Up, boys is brought to you by Sportsbet, and this week's Bloke in a Bar multi, it's a good one. Oh, it's a good one. Okay, so we're going to go for this Bloke in a Bar multi, which you can copy on the feed. Go to feed, you can copy it straight away. McAvoy to win gold in 50 metres freestyle. Kaylee McEwen to win gold. Jess Fox to win gold in the KX1. I hope I'm saying that right. KX1?
Yep,
KX1?
I believe so.
Yep. Yeah. And Panthers 13 plus. So that's the multi. So it is McAvoy 50 metre freestyle gold. Kaylee McEwen to win gold. Jess Fox to win gold. Panthers 13 plus. That's getting you 850.
Ooh.
That's getting you 850. The traders, they always come through for the bloke audience. So head to my feed. You can copy it. Takes you 2 seconds. Give us a follow on the feed. It's good stuff. And as always, a massive thank you to our friends over at Sportsbet.
We got a W last week, didn't we?
We did.
Yeah.
We did. So what was the last one? The last one was Jess Fox to win gold. It was,
I think, Titmus.
Warbrick to score any time. It was, where's the next one?
What was that paying, Matty?
$5.
$5, but it got up. What was that last one that you just said?
Titmus to win her event.
Titmus to win her event.
There was one more.
And then, anyway, so it was a multi, $5. It got up. Alrighty, guys. As I said, how was the week? Anything come up? How's the Olympics been for you, Dor? What's been, what have you been enjoying?
Good,
mate?
brother. Actually, so in the studio, we've got a TV on the back wall.
Yep.
Normally, we just have like the altitude and stuff like that. Got in there, put the Olympics on. So I'm in there from 4:45.
Yeah,
we're doing the workouts. All the Olympics is playing in the background. You're doing
winning gold.
Bro,
winning
it's so
gold.
good. So yeah, I've been enjoying that, and there's been a few little interesting things that I've watched, but it's been entertaining just to have something to scroll through at night, during the day. There's always something on. It's been pretty cool.
What about you, Matty?
Last Saturday, we had a farewell dinner for one of our friends that's moving to England, and it was mostly like the girls and kind of the boys kind of latched on. So there was only 3 of us compared to 10 chicks, and they all went out to the Sheaf after. And as we were going there, we were like, screw that. Let's just go back to one of our houses and watch the Olympics, because I think it was day 1 last Saturday. And then the girls went out and we just sat down. I think we watched it for about 5.5 hours. We cycled through any and every event that we could. It was so good. And then just throughout the week, if I got a spare 20 minutes, just throw something on. I know the time zones aren't great, but they're not. I don't think they're not that bad because there's always stuff on, after work. And if you get up early enough, like it's not that early to watch the medal event, so it's not terrible. But
I tell you what,
it's been fun.
We didn't appreciate Tokyo.
No,
we didn't appreciate Tokyo because it was around the right time, and we got to enjoy it, and we got to sit back pretty much in our normal time and watch incredible athletes go. I do think with the Tokyo one, I tell you what, sport without crowds is just like it's the pits.
It's terrible.
It's trash.
Yeah.
It is. It's how bizarre is it how important crowds are to sport. Like I wonder, imagine tomorrow with rugby league, if there was no crowds ever allowed to watch rugby league again, I wonder how many audiences, like how much TV audience would stop watching.
Well, I remember Fox Sports when the whole no crowd thing happened a few years ago. They were so quick to put those fake noises in just because it sounded so awkward and weird on TV.
I genuinely believe that there would be a substantial fall off of viewership if it was always played in empty stadiums.
Even the swimming's a massive one.
Sorry?
Swimming
it'd be so boring.
Pin drop.
But also, like with rugby league, that's why I love watching games that are at suburban stadiums.
Close.
Because it's closed and there's something
Atmosphere.
real. There's a real atmosphere about it.
I went to Brookie the other day, no reason, just Manly versus Titans game, and sat in the new stand just behind the post. And I felt like I was on the field. Like I was just a part of it. It was mad.
Yeah, that is good.
I think the future with a lot of sport in Australia is like doing up the suburban grounds.
Yeah.
Like keeping the spirit of it, but doing them up. Because like the big stadiums, like unless it's the Suncorp Stadium with the Broncos that get an average crowd of like 35,000, it's shit.
Yeah,
it's shit. And I don't know, I love suburban grounds too. Like there's just something about them. There's a realness about it, which is like very connected to rugby league because it's such a blue collar sport.
Yeah.
There's something real about it. But you know what's crazy? So I was looking up, what do countries pay their athletes what they win in the medals?
Isn't this wild?
This is wild, okay? So Hong Kong.
You'd love to be Hong Kong.
If you win gold, you get $768,000. Silver,
Yeah, right. You're gunning for
$384,000.
gold.
I mean, it is good, but at the same time, like these athletes train arguably harder than like rugby league professional athletes. Like, give or take, like probably the same.
Yeah.
And yet athletes get paid millions and they get 10 years of it. You only get paid $768K and you've trained your whole life for it and you probably only do it once.
And you have to win. Like an NRL,
That's what I'm saying.
You get the spoon, you still get paid.
You still get paid and you get a whole career.
Yeah.
Like, whereas these athletes, they train all by themselves. They have to pay for all of their stuff by themselves too. So think about that as well.
Yeah.
Like league players, they're not paying. They don't have to pay to train. And so anyway, so $768K if you're Hong Kong. Singapore, 745,000. Indonesia, then it's a massive drop. Indonesia, 300,000. Israel, 271,000. The Republic of Kazakhstan, 250,000. Malaysia, 216,000. Española, Spain, 102,000. France, 87,000. South Korea, 45,000. United States, 38,000.
Sucks.
Japan, 32,000. Poland, 25,000. Germany, 22,000. Australia, 13,000.
So bad.
When you were reading that, I actually was thinking, did I miss Australia because we're going so far down the list? Is that right?
Man,
That's terrible.
If I was worth hundreds of millions of dollars, I would absolutely be giving out way more money to our athletes that won gold.
Well, I seen, Shannon Sharp, he runs that podcast, ex-NFL
Yep.
player. I don't know if he was taking the piss, but it looked pretty legit. He's like 50,000 to any American athlete who gets a gold medal, like 100%.
The USA price is actually disgraceful.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're hedging their bets, but Olympic sports, they don't actually get paid that much. Like the select few who are sponsored up to the eyebrows.
Yeah, that's what does my head is. You're like, they get paid through sponsors. Yeah, like one of the, one
top dog with a mad personality and brand.
Yeah, whereas like everyone else gets like peanuts. Like couldn't even.
You'd be lucky to get your spikes paid for.
I tell you what, if I ever like any long term, if I ever sell like bloke beer or any other products that are, and there's something coming up soon, but if long term I ever sell one of my businesses for like fucking squillions and squillions and squillions of dollars, I absolutely will be paying our athletes if they win a gold. Like,
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't understand why you wouldn't. Like, think about this. Let's say you're just a normal person and you've got $100 million. There are people out there with $100 million in the bank right now, just sitting there. You can't just like chuck them like chuck them a 50K. They just won gold for the nation.
Oh no,
I would be.
it's rough, bro.
That number's pathetic.
It sucks.
That's terrible.
It sucks.
Yeah.
You're going to get your Hong Kong passport, aren't you? And then
Oh,
for the next
mate.
games.
I always wondered, like, you know, people that get really rich, but then they keep trying to get even more rich. That's always like a strange situation for me because, like, once you get to a certain point, surely you're just like,
And how fun would the Olympics be if you're backing all the athletes?
yeah,
again?
you're
Oh,
actually
loving
backing them
it.
in and like you're like,
you're
but
the
like, yeah, I
man.
always like, for example, like, and I'm not talking like, you know, if you've got a business and you sell it for a lot, that's awesome. And if you have and you enjoy working, that's one thing. But like when you see rich people that have made it, sold their businesses, and they keep grinding and they're unhappy, you're just like, bro, just enjoy it.
Yeah, how much money is enough?
Yeah, how much money enough? Like you see these billionaires, like billions of dollars, and they're still grinding their dick off, and you're just like how much money's enough? Like there'd be nothing better than, you know, being set for life and then just you could podcast for the rest of your life.
And you're telling me Zuckerberg like doesn't just do something around Facebook, Meta, Instagram, just backing the athletes and just taking the piss?
It'd be mad. You got all this cash, and it's like for the Olympics, so it's actually a good thing. But yeah, like that's my perfect life would be you get set up for life. You get a certain amount of money where you're all good, and then you just podcast. You just do the podcast because I would do the podcast for free, regardless. And that would be my perfect life.
100%. I agree with you. If I got that rich, I'd just do whatever the fuck I wanted. I wouldn't stress out about nothing.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Whereas like some of these people that get really rich, like they're still wigging out about deals getting done and like
No way.
going into stressful meetings and like hiring, firing and all that stuff. Like I genuinely would just be like, okay, all I'm doing is talking about sport. And if anyone brings any stress to me, you're gone.
Go away.
You're gone. You know what I mean? Like seriously, like it would be the best life ever. But yeah, they're the prices for the Olympics. But the best thing about the Olympics is genuinely, from a purely selfish perspective, anytime you're bored, you just go, I'll just chuck the Olympics on, and you're in the middle of watching Australia beat New Zealand in hockey 5-0, and you're bloody all of a sudden you're deep down the rabbit hole on Google with bloody hockey.
Yeah.
Water polo. We just dominated. Was it Belgium or something like that, or Serbia or something like that recently?
Yeah, I'm not, and I'm watching any country. I was watching badminton between, I think it was Thailand, were just killing it. Like I'm watching anything and everything.
You know what's crazy is ping pong. Was it
Table tennis? Yeah.
It's insane.
Holy,
Yeah.
like what are they like? I want to know what.
The shit they're doing from like all the way at the
Oh
back,
mate,
looping
it's
it.
actually insane.
Some of the other countries are good to watch out, the underdogs. Even like, and you're starting to see a bit of the entertainment and the memes come out. Even that Turkish lad the other day, just no
the
equipment,
Turkish
hand in the
guy.
pocket.
Bro.
His quote was, I'm just a natural shooter.
Mate, he's a hitman, bro. There's no way he's not a hitman. Bro, you're not rolling in like that. Hand in pocket. Hand in pocket.
Yeah, no equipment.
No
taking the
equipment.
piss.
Bro, come on. You're a part of the mafia, bro.
Speaking of equipment, so have you seen that James Boyer from France?
Nah.
Now, just a disclaimer with the algorithm chat, this isn't another measuring tape, deep rabbit hole. But, bruh, you want to talk about a weapon? It's not a budgie smuggler. It's budgies smuggler. It's plural. Like,
What?
mate, you've never seen anything like
What
it.
is he?
Bruh.
Is he stocked up?
It's stupid. Look at how he dives and still doesn't make a fucking splash. Bro,
What's wrong with this bloke's algorithm? What is, mate?
It's wild.
That hasn't crossed my interwebs at all, mate. What are you searching up when that comes
I
up?
gotta admit, now that you mention it, I did say
thank
that.
you, Matty.
I did say that one. Yeah.
He's a sick. Holy shit.
Yeah.
You gotta
Holy
diversify your
shit.
Instagram, bro.
Mate, what is going on with you blokes? Seriously, measuring tapes. It's the
I reckon
Olympics.
he's double rapping. He's wearing two budgies, Matty. Honestly.
Show some respect. He's an Olympic athlete, mate. He's not a piece of meat. Don't objectify him.
Oh, wow.
I don't even
that's
know
good.
if he's any good. Is he, Matty?
I don't know. I wasn't worried about that.
Who cares? I don't think.
He's doing fine.
Yeah, he'll be fine.
He's
He'll
doing
be fine. He'll be fine. Speaking of that algorithm check, boys, how's the algorithm going?
Olympics dominant, mate, as you can see.
Yeah.
So that wasn't algo. That wasn't algo, mate. What are you looking up? What are you looking at? What about you?
I'm the same. Yeah, sorry to be boring, but my feed is purely Olympics right now. There's just nothing else.
Have you seen the 3v3 basketball?
Yeah, yeah.
I thought I was seeing things when I seen that.
Yeah.
So they don't have the big dogs playing 3v3.
I don't believe so.
No.
But overnight, like Australia knocked off
The girls?
Tokyo champions.
That was
and
a mad game.
And Tokyo bronze. We're 3 from 3 at the moment.
Who's the one that dominated that game? I think it was Wilson.
Yeah, I'm not sure about
She was a
names, but-
freak. I would love to see some of the big dogs from the NBA go and play in the
imagine
3v3.
that.
Oh,
That'd be-
mate, it was
that'd
actually
be
mad to
sick.
watch.
Yeah.
Just non-stop entertainment. It's like the sevens of rugby league.
Yeah,
Or
I was a bit skeptical when I first saw the 3x3. I was like, oh, this is a bit of a joke, but it's actually mad. Yeah.
street ball.
Mate, the Olympics are that good.
You reckon Volandis could get the 9s in there one day?
Well, what do they do? They add 2 sports every Olympics, is it?
Yeah, rugby. There's no chance rugby league. Not a chance in hell.
No, we can't. We've just cut it for the next.
Yeah, we just cut our World Cup down.
We did too.
Yeah, so Olympics have been incredible. So we've got the Olympics in 2032, don't we?
Yeah, Brizzy have
It's
it.
mad.
Oh, mate. Looking at the Paris one, it made me like, I wish I was over there. Genuinely. Like a lot of the times I don't get FOMO, but Paris especially, because the next one's actually in LA, I think.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, which is like, I mean, it'll be hectic. Don't get me wrong, because it's America, and you know they've got all the stadiums and all the setup for it. But Paris Olympics, like that would be
does look good.
Having been to Paris and how incredible of a city that is.
Yeah, I haven't been.
Having been there and to imagine the Olympics there so you can go to the Olympics plus you can go and do it, like it would be like you couldn't get any better of a trip. You seriously, that's everything. You get sport plus you get all the history in a beautiful city, like they're playing bloody beach volleyball under the Eiffel Tower.
That's such a good shot.
The Aussie girls, I think they've won 2 and lost 1 in the beach volleyball. So like the Brizzy one's going to be sick. Did make me think, shit, maybe I should like look to do content at the next Olympics, like actually go over there and start creating content at the Olympics, because it just looks so fun.
So good.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So good. But yeah, algorithm for me, look, a few different things on my YouTube. Mr. Beast, he's getting cancelled at the moment. So
that's actually on mine as well.
What?
Dude. Yeah.
Well, allegedly, it's all alleged, all alleged. But I think the main knocks on him that he's promoting gambling to children. That's the main knock. So basically, like for example, he has like chocolates, and when you buy the chocolate, you get like a code or something, and then you go to you can go to the site, and it's a slot machine. It's pretty hectic. Yeah.
Not the slot machine.
Yeah, and the
spinny wheel or
and
something.
the big concern is obviously to children. Like all of his all of his audience is essentially under 18.
Yeah.
You know, whereas like for example, our audience is all over 18. Like we have a pretty much like no under 18 audience.
It's less than 0.5%.
Yeah,
according to the survey.
We're not selling chocolates.
No, not to pokies. And that's all alleged, obviously. There's a video that came up from this dude that used to work for him, and so there's all that. And then also there's like, you know, the videos that he does, sometimes his employees are in it, so that doesn't make it a bit of fraudulent. And then some games that he's done, they reckon that he's like changed certain things so certain people win it. So that's all alleged.
Can't wait to suss the comments.
And so it's been crazy. It's been crazy. So I've just been down that rabbit hole. Moist Critical also dealing currently with potentially being cancelled. He's another big personality on YouTube. His is obviously a lesser cancellation. So look, it's been the Wild West. It's been the Wild West.
Who was the one you just said?
Moist Critical.
Never even.
Yeah, he's huge. He's got like, I don't know, 8 million followers or something like that on Instagram. Right. So yeah, people getting cancelled. That's the algo check for me. That's the algo check for me. And a bit of the USA presidential race.
Yeah, that's finding its way in a little bit here and there.
Yeah,
I
it's
just
just
love
so
Trump,
big.
bro. Oh, it's a movie.
It really is.
It's wild.
It's
It's
wild.
actually wild. Women in League round, guys. Women in League, get around it. So I thought, boys, ask you. You know, what is something that the women in your life have done that helped you in your sport or your chosen pursuits?
Oh, good question. I would say first thing that comes to mind, I started playing footy when I was 3-4 years old. My mum was my first coach.
No way.
Yeah,
Wow.
bro. She loves footy more than I do, honestly.
Really?
But, yeah, she was my first coach.
That's sick.
So good.
Far out. That is freaking cool. That is cool.
My mum, like when I look back, and you never appreciate it when you're a kid.
No.
But when you go through, like as I did, just with no problems, no dramas, and then you look back and you realise like just all the stuff your mum does for you. Like I've obviously lived out of home for ages, but I moved back recently, and she was just like, "Yeah, come back, do it. Like it's the best." Like she's just, oh yeah. I love
When you
my
have
mum.
a kid, you get it now. Whereas I never got like when I go back and like mum wants to do things like, oh yeah, give me your clothes, I'll take care of them, and I'm like, no, it's all good. Like I'll take care of it. Now, like when you have a kid, you want to do those things for them. So I understand now where your parents come from. Like with Rain, with my son, like I'd want him to come home and be like, yeah, come in, bro. Like yeah, of course I'll make you a feed, or of course I'll do your laundry or whatever. My memory of the memory when it comes to sport, it's just driving you around constantly.
Yeah.
We used to have this little van called the Serena, and mum would just drive us. Seriously, the amount of times that like mum would just never be home because she'd take one of us to training and then, come pick us up, bring us home, and then she'd take someone else out to their training. So the amount of times I would be, and then my dad would work until like 8 o'clock at night. So I'd be at home alone like so much because mum was just like literally driving everywhere, plus working part-time, plus taking care of the house, cooking his feeds
Doesn't
and
it
that.
smack you in the face, like a little bit of gratitude? The things that we say are difficult. Like we'll walk out of here, Campy, and be like, oh, fuck, traffic on the way home.
I know.
Like, shut up.
Yeah,
Like my
seriously
mum had a
shut.
full-time job, so she didn't drive, bro. We caught public transport everywhere all over Sydney.
Far
and
out.
I don't even know. Did the woman sleep?
Yeah.
Like, bro, she just had, and I would have it so easy. I'd wake up in the morning, my breakfast was on the table, my undies were ironed and
Yep.
folded in front of the heater. Like that's what I'm talking about. Just a legend.
And just like, even like saving up to buy us for Christmas, the family would get like a PlayStation or an Xbox, like little things like that. They would save, they had no money. They would save all year just to be able to give
Find
the
a way.
kids something like that for your present. And you would just treat it so much like you deserved it. Like, it's Christmas, mum. Like,
Yeah.
I'm supposed to get a present. And you don't realize that like mum and dad are just like, they got no money. It's like
When
no
you
money.
look back, you almost feel guilty for not appreciating it at the
Oh,
time,
yeah.
which is so natural. But like, you just look back,
And these days,
mind's
like,
blown.
we never have time. We're always
Yeah.
like,
Oh, yeah.
Mate, seriously. So, yeah, women in league round, always say thanks to the women. And also, the good thing about now with rugby league is, like, not only we've got the women that have supported, the camp. What about all the women in the canteens growing up? Just doing it for free, local sports grounds.
volunteers at the local football
Yeah.
clubs, mate.
But not only do we have that now, but we actually have women in league playing league. So that's also a bloody great thing. Another huge moment this weekend, Josh Papalii, 300th game.
Oh, how good.
300th game. Seriously, one of my favourite players.
Yeah.
And, he's gotten a little bit older last couple of years, so he's definitely still doing his job at the Raiders. But, because it's been a couple of years since we've seen prime Papalii, you got to remember this guy was unstoppable.
Crazy.
There was a period there for 5 years where he was out and out the best front rower, and it wasn't even close. In Origin for the Raiders, he would literally win matches as a front rower.
And even second row, bro. Like when I first got there, I remember seeing him come up, and when I was playing the Raiders, he was a second row.
Yeah.
He was just devastating. So good.
So good and such a legend. And the good thing about a guy like Papalii, not the good thing, but, for any young fellas out there, he is so beloved at the moment and so loved for his career, and he's a shining example of who you can mould yourself as a footy player. But even he had some times in his life where he went a bit off the tracks, made a few mistakes, and was given second chances, and had the clubs got around him, the Raiders got around him, and he's evidence of when you take the second chance and you give yourself an opportunity to become a better person, and he took it. And now, for me, outside of Glenn Lazarus, he is the GOAT Raiders forward, in my opinion.
He was going to leave, wasn't he, at one point? Is that right?
I think so, years and years and years ago.
I'm so glad he didn't, and he ended up staying.
He won their Player of the Year 3 or 4 years in a row.
It's crazy
In the front row.
Just so consistent.
Yeah.
And his roles changed a bit. Like, he started off as a bit of a hitman out on that edge there, and then he just turned into this crazy front rower. I love when players get 300 games, but they do it for the same club.
Oh.
It's just something special about it. But you say Raiders GOAT, geez, they've had some good ones. They've had some real like.
He's up there. Like I know they had their dominant period.
Yeah.
So, but like look at that squad. Like look at the people in that squad compared to the squad now, and so like I think that people go, oh well, look at they won all these premierships in what was it, late 80s, early 90s, but the squad they had was freaking unbelievable.
Ridiculous, yeah.
And I always measure it as, would Papalii make the squads that won those premierships? Yes, he would.
100%.
It would be probably him and Glenn Lazarus up front in their best squad ever.
And then Bradley Clyde at lock, and then he just got the best fullback ever.
Which is crazy, and it just shows you how good he is. Is that, you know, that late 80s, it's the late 80s, early 90s, correct?
Yeah, 89 was the first one, and then I think it was 94 was the last one.
Yeah.
So like that period, like it's doesn't get the appreciation it deserves. It's one of the greatest periods of like footy teams that's ever been.
Not that I was alive then, but everyone says to me it's an absolute tragedy that the Broncos and the Raids didn't play in a grand final in that era, because it was just it was like Roosters Melbourne
And because Raiders Canberra out of sight out of mind, you know, and we harken back to like, you know, the Dragon dominant era, or when the Eels were really dominant, like there was, you know, the Raiders had that era where they were the team, and so for Papalii, you know, in a team that has been solid but never been the best on paper, as in this current roster, not the best on paper in the league, for him to still be able to go, I've played well enough to make their greatest ever side, shows you how good he is. Absolute legend, Papalii, and what a journey, what an incredible journey, and
so good,
and what a man to learn. Like, okay, Tarpanair, one of the best front rowers in the game right now, and there was a period there where Tarpanair, he was a front rower with a lot of talent, like, and you could go, okay, he's a kid with a bunch of talent, but you weren't sure what road he would take. Gets under Papalii, and ever since Papalii's taken under his wing, he's turned into, this is how good Tarpanair is. In the record win where New Zealand beat Australia, they dominated Australia, 30-0 or whatever it was. Tarpanair was the best forward on the field.
Yep.
Like, when we're talking about it, like, close second was obviously Fisher Harris, just underneath. And the reason why I think Fisher Harris got man of the match was the intangible things that he did that game, which was, it was a leadership, it was a captaincy, which is understandable. When you just looked at purely what they did on the ground, I had Tarpanair just pipping him. But think about how good you've got to be. Tarpanair on a field with Leota, Fisher Harris, Tino, Haas, Carrigan. Tarpanair was the best on the field.
Yep.
And because he plays for the Raiders, he doesn't get the love he deserves. And it's the same thing with Papalii. Papalii's guidance as a front rower, without that guidance that Papalii gave Tarpanair probably isn't the player he is today. And that just shows you good leadership. Like, it's one thing to be really good yourself. It's another thing to be able to be so great at what you do, you can make other people great. And that's what Papalii can do. That's what he
goes
did.
under the radar. He is soft-spoken and very humble, but he has that presence, especially at that club. He's such a great leader, but just a man of action, you know what I mean?
Well, you ever seen him get stood over in a game?
Please.
Like, he's got that in him. You wouldn't even go there.
No.
I'll never forget, broke my heart, but 2019 prelim. And obviously, great for rugby league that the Raiders made the grand final. Everyone's happy about that.
Dropped under the post.
But under the post against South, and
I can still remember that image of them going over, and there's like a camera shot from like the other side of the field looking down, and it's just going crazy.
Took them to their first GF in, what was it, like 25 years. Just the best.
Like, think about it, like a front rower scored the try to essentially get them into their first grand final in 20 years.
And it was like a 12-16 game. It was a close, tight game.
And he had no right to score that try. No right to score that try. So.
And also, he's killed it in Origin as well. I had a look this morning. It's funny, like his games are actually split quite evenly between front row and second row. But if you add all Origins, he's up to 348, I think. Yeah, wow. So he's to be forward to do all that, it's crazy.
And so he would have won like 4 or 5 series as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have the number, but I'm
because
sure
he debuted, I think, in Origin on the edge, maybe. Check how many series he's won.
I think he did, yeah.
Incredible, bro. What an incredible player.
So good.
And as I said, like sometimes it's hard to see like what impact was left by a player. All you have to do is look at Tarpanair. That's the impact that was left. A guy like Tarpanair became the best version of himself under Papalii. How many did he win?
So he was there in 2013. He was there in 2015. He was there in 2016, 2017, That's 4. Then 18, 19 they lost. Won the 20 and 22. Jesus, I think that's 6.
6 Origin series in the front row, pretty much.
Yeah.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah, his last Origin number 12 to 23 were all starting front row.
No way. The toughest arena in any sport in the world, essentially. And he's won that many in front row.
Jeez, I knew he played a lot of Origins. I wouldn't have guessed 23. I don't think
he was the heart of the Queensland pack.
Yeah,
he was the one guy where New South Wales we just can't get around this guy. Like this guy, every time they need something big. Like remember the one that you actually won in 2018 where Teddy scored?
Yeah.
Was it Papalii that scored the try?
2019. Yeah. Game 3, Papalii scored the try
to get us back into it, and nearly did a Queensland ambush. All on Papalii's back.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
So good, and just such an inspiration. And what also, sorry to jump in, he slowed down a bit, but people wanted him to come out of rep retirement 2 weeks ago to play for Queensland. He's still killing it.
Incredible. Alrighty. Let's get into some rugby league chat. Don't forget, guys, Bloke Beer, the beer of rugby league. Get to your local, grab a case of Bloke Beer. Absolutely beautiful. And also, the Bloke in a Bar multi, go to Sportsbet, go to Feed. Give us a follow on the feed, and you can copy the bet. I've got a bunch of other bets as well on my feed right now. Look, my run hasn't been great. I'll be honest. My run hasn't been great lately. I'm just getting up now. So I got to be
as good as your last bet, mate.
Exactly. Good to be to a multi. Broncos 13 plus. Adam Reynolds to score 8 or more points. Dean Marin anytime. That's getting you 450.
It's nice.
And here's another one. Sydney Roosters to win 1 to 12. Bostock to score and Tedesco to score anytime. That's getting you 1150.
Hey.
That's juicy.
Nice.
That's juicy.
Nice.
I did not know what's going to happen in that Broncos game.
Yeah, I know. They could come out.
Seriously.
Because of all with the Broncos, it sucks that it has come true, but how long was I saying? Yeah. As quickly as they built you up, they will tear you down. And look how quickly people have said some pretty negative stuff about that side. Like, for example, Adam Reynolds not being captain. I totally, strongly, obviously love Gordy, but strongly disagree with that. That to me, that's... Yeah, I just strongly disagree. Disagree. Without Adam Reynolds at that club, we would be... Disaster.
Look at the Knights. I know Adam Reynolds played against the Dogs, but look at the Knights game, how different they were when he come back.
Mate, we were, when he arrived, we were 14th.
No.
Yeah.
We were 14th. Then also the year that we came 9th, we were on top of the table and fell all the way out. You know what I mean?
And also, if they did make Carrigan captain... nothing's going to change.
Look, do you think Carrigan needs captain beside him to make a big play?
Nah.
He was our best Origin player in the series recently, and he's won a Wally Lewis medal. You don't need a captain next to your name to make a big play. So, love Gordy, but respectfully...
I'm with you. I
respectfully disagree.
Don't agree with that.
And, obviously you can... I look at the Bronx, and I'll back them to the death no matter what. They can be coming last for the rest of my life, and I'll still back them. But you can still critique them and be like, this is where they can improve. Walshy, he needs to cut the errors down, and the forwards need to do this or that. I've already said, if they don't make the finals this year, then I do think that coaching will be under pressure, and I do think that they need to look at all that.
We were here a couple of years ago with a similar chat, and from the same sort of vocal critiques, but the Broncos turned it around. They do react.
Look, the thing is, they've got the team to turn it around.
100%. Oh,
yeah.
They've got the team to turn it around. They lost Flegler, they lost Capewell, they lost Herbie. But I still believe that this squad... Now, do I necessarily believe that they're, on paper, as good as, your top-tier squads right now when it comes to form? Obviously not. But they're definitely better than where they are right now. With all their injuries and that, I still believe they should be sitting around 5th or 6th.
100%.
Now, I don't believe they should be sitting top 3, with all the injuries and blah blah blah. But I still believe they should be in the top 8 right now. I think anyone that's saying, "Oh, but look at the injuries and look at this happened and that happened in grand final," I think that's just excuses. I don't think
more than enough
they're better than that. They're better than that.
Well, last week proves that that team on paper smokes the Bulldogs team.
But it just shows you the Bulldogs, incredible what they're doing. Absolutely incredible. Anyway, let's get to it. Cowboys defeat the Tigers last night. Biggest talking point, Olam's hit on Luki. So when it first happened, I was like, oh yeah, probably 10 in the bin. But then the last angle that I saw, I was like, that's a send-off.
I thought it was shoulder and then the arm was around the head.
Yeah.
But then that last angle, I was like, nah, bro.
When I saw the first ones, I was like, oh yeah, I can understand why people might be a little bit frustrated, because they actually hadn't shown the back, from all the way from behind angle. And so I thought, oh, that's a bit harsh send-off. I don't know if I agree with that. They showed then once he went off and they showed that last angle, and I've actually got the footage on my phone, I was like, I personally think that's a send-off.
You know what doesn't help him, bro? A couple of weeks ago, we were talking about the origin hit. This is different. Olam's actually way shorter. He's way taller. Bro, you just got to...
Yeah, it's so much area to hit, bruz. I personally think it's a send-off. I know a lot of people don't think that, and I respect your opinion, and, I understand the argument of it ruining games or whatever, but my personal opinion, and I could be totally wrong, been wrong a million times before, but my personal opinion is that when you say the call ruined the game, I personally believe, no, the call didn't ruin the game. Olam's recklessness ruined the game for the Tigers. It wasn't the ref. The ref's decision didn't ruin it. Olam recklessly putting shoulder to his jaw is what ruined the game, in my opinion. Do you think it was a send-off or a 10 in the bin?
Well, I just think with the current rules, it's a send-off, so there's no point even arguing it anymore,
There's a lot of people a lot of people don't think it's a send-off. I think Matty doesn't think it's a send-off.
Well,
but with the rules, as we know, I think it's a send-off.
So I'm kind of in two minds here. According to the rules, I'm like, yep, send-off. Especially after you sent that video last night, I was like, all right, he's got him straight in the head. I just don't love that a tackle like that cost the Tigers for the rest of the game. I think 10 minutes would have been... I'd rather him cop 10 minutes and get an extra week suspension. I don't know. But I understand why they're doing it.
But okay, so when you say a tackle like that, because I know what you're saying, cost the game, but then you could argue that for anything. I don't like the fact that knock-on that we could have scored cost us a game.
Yeah.
It's just like if Olam got over the try line and completely dropped the ball, that costs you the game. That decision from Olam to go in like that, unfortunately.
And that's why I'm not married to it. Because he's shorter and he went up, I can completely understand. It's just, I just think maybe we're being trigger happy with the send-off. So maybe that's just me not being able to move with the times, personally.
I agree, when they go hard on one rule, and it does ruin a game. But I think we have to take the other perspective now, Matty. Everyone knows it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So you have to figure out a way to not get yourself in that position and actually avoid it.
Exactly. And that's why I'm not sitting here passionate about it. I could go either way. At the same time, I was with my mate watching it, and I was like, I don't think that's a send-off. I think that's it's a sin bin. It's a pretty heavy sin bin, but it's a sin bin. He's like, well, you could argue it the other way. It's just a light send off. Not everything's binary.
And it's just the way he's wired up, mate. The boys call him Fear. It's that story is for another podcast, but he's just a bad man. He just wants to do damage.
See, my thing is, and again, I'm like, I would have been more happy with a sin bin, but at the same time, Tigers, stop getting sin bin. That's the problem here. Even if it wasn't a send off, he would have got 10 minutes, and the Cowboys scored 3 tries in that 10 minutes. So it didn't even cost them the game. They would have scored those 3 tries if it was a sin bin anyway, and the game would have been pretty much over. But the Tigers are getting sin binned every week, and if you're a fan, you must be pulling your hair out.
You're off it.
Yeah, look, I'm all for this old school way of thinking of sometimes it's going to slip up and all that. But I don't think people realise how much of an impact head knocks are going to have in the game if we don't do something about them soon. And what I mean by that is I don't necessarily mean we want to change the fabric of the game, but we have to be willing to go, you know what? We can do without the Olam hits if it means that we get to keep the other aggressive part of our game. Whereas if we're not harsh enough on that, then there's going to be other part. Then they'll go almost let's say we're not harsh enough, and in 10 years' time, something, God forbid, but some ex-player decides to do something crazy or lawsuits or whatever, then that's when it'll be even worse. Whereas right now, if we show that we are really trying to stop head contact, it will give us more foundation to stand on if that does happen in the future, of going, here is all the evidence that we have showing that when we got the information in regards to head knocks, we tried our best to reduce the amount of contact to head. And so when you see us tackle like Olam, like it didn't just slip up. Like that wasn't a tackle that just like slipped up or Luki fell into it, or, you know, like it was genuinely, he had every opportunity to go lower. He was going for a big shot. He was reckless. So
I'll tell you what else doesn't help him, bro. It wasn't one of those split seconds, come outside in. It was like
it was
you had time was lined up. That didn't help either.
Things where like it's a decision, but also things where you're leaving your feet, you're closing your eyes, like all that stuff. If we can get rid of that, then that will go a long way to us still having the game we love, because we still want the aggression, we still want the big hits. We just want to do everything we can to make the big hits not in people's heads. And how do you do that? You get rid of, you try to deter people from closing their eyes. You try to deter people from leaving their feet, jamming outside in on wingers. Unfortunately, like the jamming outside in, those days are gone, like pretty much. Like you'll still see it, but the risk is so high, it's just not worth it. And we've got to deter, like, for example, Olam, next time he gets that like red mist, just go lower.
And I think fans who don't think it's a send-off, like I initially did, and I'm kind of a foot, like I can understand both, but I know that I can concede that I'm not thinking about the bigger picture. I'm thinking about the 80 minutes, and you do make a good point where we do have to get it out of the game.
Like I'm telling you right now, the number one, the boogeyman for rugby league is head knocks. If you had to went into Vlandy's office and said, what's the number one thing that could ruin the game?
Yeah.
It'll be head knocks. I promise you. So if we don't do everything we can to make sure that we're showing that we're doing something about it, the game it'll change even more drastically.
Those stories and that era of CTE and all that.
I'm telling you right now, the number one boogeyman to the game that could ruin it is the head knock stuff. We're just at the start of it. We're at the tip of the iceberg. And so we have to show, like, trust me, I would love for us to go back to a time where we could shoulder charge, where it's fucking just a brutal. I get it. I love that. That's what I love MMA and UFC. Like, I love that. It's a violent, it's a brutal sport. But I think that, you know, if you had to ask me, keep tackles like the Olam or maybe the Suoliti early in the year, or get rid of them, but then also keep the fabric of the game, I'd always choose to get rid of them, keep the fabric of the game. But like, as I said, mate, I could be wrong. It's just my opinion. Like, maybe I'm totally wrong and it was a sin bin, and like, yeah, it's just my opinion. So I can understand people's argument of it ruins the game. It's an entertainment product. If you want to keep the fans engaged with the game, then let's try and create a system where the game is not completely done when something like that happens. Yeah. I personally think that responsibility, instead of having to change all these rules for that to happen, the responsibility lies on the player. Like, I think that when people go, oh, well, let's try and introduce the rugby union system where they go off for 20 and you can bring someone else on. The way I see it is the most simple way to solve it is like deter the players from doing it. That's the most simple way to solve it.
Personally, and you may disagree, but again, I've said it 100 times, I don't love send-offs unless it's atrocious. I would much rather see Olam get 5 weeks instead of 3 and get a sin bin. And that's
what if Luki gets knocked out and he's out for the game?
Well, I guess every case, it's case by case. It's case by case.
That's the thing.
Yeah. Like we got lucky that he's got a mad chin.
Yeah. And my initial thought was, Luki was, you know, my first thought was that he's crying for a penalty, and I thought, wait a minute, he's just a tough motherfucker that stood up.
Is that a factor, eye for an eye? If a play gets done from the incident, then you're done?
Well, that's a hard thing, though. It's tough because, like, so just because he has a better chin, he doesn't get sent off. Then if you're measuring it on how bad the injury was.
But he still gets suspended, but because they didn't lose a player, you know,
it's it just gets complicated. As I said, like, I think that you talk about all these ways to fix the problem. I think the best way to fix it is don't do the hit. You know?
I would have been okay with a 10, but I've already accepted the rule. We know they're going to do it, so everyone else, that's why I was like,
look, even though I initially didn't agree with it, I certainly wasn't surprised when he got sent.
I would have been okay with a 10. Like, I wouldn't have been like, that's a terrible call. What's going on here? But I personally would have said that's a send-off, just because the way I see it is like I just want to make sure that we can keep as much of the fabric of our game as possible, and the only way to doing that is try to deter stuff like that. But as I said, just my opinion, could be totally wrong. And it is what it is, and unfortunately, he got 10 in the bin. They scored 3 tries anyway, so
it's not like
the game would have been over. Look, I understand Benji's frustration to a degree, but as I said, I do think it was a send off because, like, if you're letting that go to just 10 in the bin, we just can't see that. Like, put it this way, I think the fact that Luki got up really quickly made it seem less dramatic than it was.
Yeah.
But if he was completely out, like most people would have,
conversation.
like I don't think anyone would be talking about it right now.
That's
They'd be going,
true. That is definitely
if
true.
he was just flat out like Reece Walsh was, I think most people are going, Jesus, Olam, like chill out, brother.
And I mean, I'd be carrying on, but Olam wasn't even playing on the right side.
But yeah, so
problems.
Look, just in our opinion, if any three of us had the answers, we'd be getting paid way more and we'd be working for the NRL because I don't know what the right answer is, guys. It's such a tough conversation. Yeah. But in regards to the performance, like, to be honest, I actually think the Tigers get more out of this performance than the Cowboys.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, Cowboys, you won 48-30, great stuff. But geez, you're heading into finals. Put them away.
Rough.
Put them away. The fact that you allowed them to score any points after, like, we're talking about a team that can't buy a win. They're in the bottom of the table. And as I said, for the Tigers, I know they got 48 points put on them. They bloody scored 30 points. And a lot of those tries with a man down. Showed a lot of fight.
It's so weird. Like, a few years ago, the Cowboys were known for that rock-solid defence, and nothing would let through them. Whereas last night, yes, they scored 48 points, but some of the tries the Tigers scored, like the goal line defence, it was terrible.
Yeah.
It was terrible. It was night and day from 2 years ago.
I mean, 23 minutes in, I haven't watched that much Tigers this year, but 23 minutes in, the boys are on here.
Yeah.
They were looking good.
Mate, there was a period there before they got Olam sent for 10. I was going, the Tigers might tool me.
Yeah,
sure.
Like, I do think that the Cowboys were almost like playing with their food a little bit. Like,
It was a slow start.
Well, what I mean by that is like the Cowboys were...
Just didn't put them away.
We know we can beat them.
Yeah.
So as soon as the game ramps up, we'll just ramp up. Because whenever the Cowboys wanted to, like, actually roll their sleeves up in that, they would literally roll 80 metres.
And if speaking of that 23rd minute mark, it was Tigers were winning the arm wrestle, Cowboys would take an early kick options, and then line break off the kick return, Holmes goes all the way and they score. It's just like, our boys.
Well, and also like they're under the pump. Yeah, the kick where they didn't make touch. Is that what you're talking about? Oh, fuck.
It's like, come on, boys.
Like, those are the things where, like, with the Tigers, you just go, how? Like, the problem with the Tigers as well is, like, it's every week. Every week something silly like that happens. And also, you can pound it. Like, Olam does something silly, and then you finally get the ball back, and you've defended your asses off. You've done such a great job. You'll do something silly. But, yeah, with the Cowboys, with the Tigers, I thought the Johansson guy, he looked solid.
Spanish Swiss.
He's
Spanish
big boy.
Swiss.
Is he?
Yeah. So he's born in Switzerland. Mum's Spanish. I was like, how's this for a mix?
Fucking hell. Well, he looks good. Johansson? How would you say?
Johansson.
Johansson? What's your
Apparently it's
Swedish?
pronounced Johansson.
Johansson.
I would have said Johansson.
What's your Swedish accent?
Johansson.
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 Hey, what's the Simpsons character?
Don't chase me. I'm full of chocolate.
That's you, Matty.
That's you.
He's German. Yeah.
Oh, what's his name?
Oh, I forgot. Is the German?
It's not Augustus. No,
that's Willy Wonka.
Willy Wonka.
Augustus Gloop.
Anyway, Johansson. I need to work on my Swedish accent.
Yeah.
Johansson. He's got Viking blood, Swedish.
Yeah.
But he looks solid. He looks really solid. I got to say, the defence from Townsend and Valia outside him, Holy.
Where's Townsend going, bro?
What did you say? Underrated?
No, yeah.
Oh,
Townsend.
no, it was terrible.
No, I think he is underrated though,
No,
Townsend.
as a player.
Yes.
As a player, I actually think he's quite good. Yeah, I
Not
think
that moment though.
the Cowboys fans are always negging on Townsend. I'm just I don't get it.
No, neither.
I think he's quite good, but I will say last night his defense. Oh my god, him and Vilea really genuinely. Buller was just getting the ball out the back and just running that should never happen.
No, never.
In first grade. Where a fullback just gets the ball out of the back and just goes, oh, sweet, and just runs straight through. Unless your name's Reece Walsh and you're faster than the speed of light, that should never happen. If he gets the ball out of the back, the half's getting burnt, the centre should always stay square to tackle him, so that you go, okay, they ended up scoring with their winger. Never should the fullback just be going, oh, I'm going to burn my 7 marker, the 7 across from me, and the centre, the opposing centre, he's not even going to turn in. I'm just going to run straight through. That should never, ever happen.
Inside shoulder.
The fullback should always have to, at the very least, tip on to his centre or to his winger. So that's a big concern for the Cowboys. Now, I think they've got injuries at the moment, and that's why Vilea is currently in the centres, I think.
Yes, hang on.
Because if they don't sort that out... Now, whether that's a Townsend or a Vilea problem, whoever it is, they need to sort that out. Because if they go into finals footy with that kind of defence, they will get burnt.
100%.
So, yeah, I thought Buller had one of these better games, especially in attack. Yeah, especially in
it's
attack.
A lovely try, just jink it straight around Drinkwater.
Yep, absolutely. Quick. So I thought he looked quite good. So, overall, I think there was actually a lot to like for the Tigers. They showed fight. They're not, on paper, they're nowhere near as good as the Cowboys side. With the Cowboys, we've already spoken about all the negatives. I guess the positive is, though, when they do click into gear, they click into gear.
Yeah.
They are so
They're
impressive.
taking the piss on the left side.
Oh, yeah, especially...
One thing about Tigers, mate, you look at some teams who are not doing well, you can't say they were like a wooden spoon Tiger. Their effort, it looked like they're not defeated. They haven't given up. Doesn't look like there's big problems. They were genuinely giving their best ever. I thought the whole game.
I reckon that Tigers would smoke... This Tigers would smoke last year's Tigers.
Oh, this Tigers would absolutely dominate last year's Tigers. It's just, honestly, the thing that kills the Tigers is just brain explosions.
Yeah.
When they were playing that high tempo fast footy, they were killing it. How good's Samuel Fainu on the edge
Yeah,
there?
about to bring him up.
Bruh,
He's a beast.
So good.
He's an absolute beast. They are such a better side this year. It's just, for some reason, they just got too many players that are willing to just completely lose concentration. But they've improved out of sight. And as I said, I thought Buller had probably his best game all year, or at the very least one of the best games. 2 tries.
I think it was, yeah.
21 runs, 259 metres, 9 tackle breaks, 3 line breaks. Think about that. He did all that in a side that was getting pumped. Fainu was outstanding, the big fella. He had 2 tries, 11 runs. What about the one where he caught it? What about the line he ran? Just a beautiful line. Once again, that line was in between.
That was poor defence too.
Townsend and Vilea. So that right side, they got to sort that out because that was really poor.
That first try he scored, the whole set, Luki Galvin just orchestrating.
Look, master.
He's...
Mate, I love Luki Galvin.
Yeah, he looks sharp.
And he's just a competitor.
Yeah.
He never lets the game dictate his energy.
That's what I mean with the Tigers. There's no lack of want.
Yeah. So 20 runs, 134 metres, 14 tackles, 2 line break assists. What I love about Luki Galvin is he could be losing by 40 or winning by 40, and his energy is exactly the same.
Yeah,
he's always probing. He's always asking questions. And sometimes, I get frustrated with halves in the NRL, and this is purely from a fucking loser on the couch watching. But I get frustrated because I'm like, just ask questions. Get the ball in your hand and just ask the defence questions. The amount of times I see halves going, oh, that option isn't open. All right, I'm just going to take the tackle. Okay. Oh, we're going to get to this point. And it's all just robotic. It's just purely, I'm going to get to this point on the field. I'm going to make my tackle here. I want to make sure my stats are good and everything's fine and no errors. And it's just get the ball in your hands and just ask questions of the defence. Go get on the advantage line. Get players around you like Lockie Galvin does. And eventually, if you're talented enough, you will make, you'll make magic. And that's what Lucky Galvin, I think he does it like similarly almost to Jerome Luai, where he asks questions. Every time he gets the ball, he keeps you honest. And it's not structured. It's not just boring ticking boxes. It's going, every time I get the ball, I feel like I can create a try or score a try myself.
It's a great asset in his game.
So that's, what I love about Lockie Galvin. So, there was actually a lot to like for the Tigers, but it's just the brain explosions that kill him. Like, really, really kill him. I thought Ruben Porter, in defence, there was a few issues, but in attack, he was a guy that he only debuted a few weeks ago at like 26, 27 years old. Couldn't get a crack anywhere. That offload to Buller,
was lovely.
It was beautiful.
It was a great run.
So he was good as well. So, look, there is quite a lot to like. But, just one of the things. I thought Staines had some reads on the edge that were pretty poor, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately. Even that last sort of try where he just didn't get up and get back in the line. It's just those 11. I mean, you have to question. I don't know who you can put it down to and how much it created in terms of being disjointed, but just don't know if you can put Appy out in the halves if that happens again.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. They're just so because Fainu went off. That's another thing. The Tigers lost. They lost their half early.
Yeah.
So, like, as I said, there's a lot to like from that performance. I know it's tough right now as a Tigers fans. Like, it really...
Real tough.
Yeah, like, you're sitting there going, fuck, a lot to like. Who gives a shit? I want to get wins. I get it. But there's signs. Like, there's definitely signs. Now onto the Cowboys. We've already spoken about the negative stuff. One other negative stuff, like Val Holmes' defence. Far out. What has happened this year? His reads are just all over the place.
I don't know. I don't have an answer. It's just, I'm not used to this.
There was a period of time where his defence was elite.
It was for
Making
most of his
amazing
career.
reads.
Yeah. I don't know. It's bizarre. It might be the systems, it might be the players inside him, the communication. I don't know. It was before, but once again with Val, it's like defensively he has those lapses, but in attack, friggin' phenomenal.
By the way, I didn't realise until late last night that it's him that wants to get out of his contract.
Well, I'm a bit confused about that because
What's the chat?
so the manager apparently went to them and said, like, before November 1st, do you want to start, discussing extensions? And then that's turned into you've got permission to look elsewhere. So that would suggest to me that they've said you're not getting extended here.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, I agree.
But then Todd Payton says, we were taken aback a bit that he wants to leave. So I'm just like, I don't know what's going on.
Sounds like games.
Doesn't make sense. So Val just wants to leave a $900,000 contract.
Weird, yeah. It doesn't add up.
It like
Definitely doesn't.
What I personally think's happened is the manager's gone and said, "Hey guys, are you going to November 1st is going to come up this year? Val is an Origin player right now. He's one of the biggest outside backs in the game. Do you want to enter negotiations?" And I reckon the club's gone, "We're probably not interested in Val after 2025." And then they've gone, "All right, well, do you want us to look elsewhere?" And then
That
they've
makes
said,
sense.
"Yep,
Yeah, okay.
yep, you can look elsewhere." And that's why the club's saying, "Oh, the manager asked for it."
Yeah.
When I think in reality, what's happened is they've said you're not getting extended beyond next year.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, it makes why the hell? If you wanted to keep him, why would you say you can look elsewhere?
Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
Put it this way: if he was Val Holmes and he was 21 years old, and they went to the club and said, "Hey mate, are you going to extend him?" Even if they weren't sure as to what the price or whatever, the club would say, "Oh, we're happy to begin negotiations."
Yeah.
But they didn't. They said, "You can look elsewhere if you." The fact that they said you can look elsewhere says they didn't want him. Yeah. So I don't get this idea that Val just went to him and said, "I want to get out of here," and they were like, "Oh shit, we wanted to keep you." If you wanted to keep him, you would have said, "No, we want to keep you."
Don't look elsewhere.
Yeah, don't look elsewhere. Your contract's to us. So I don't know. I understand. And look, I don't have the answers because I'm not in the room. I don't know what's going on at the Cowboys. And I totally get sometimes when the club needs to protect their side of things. They don't want to look in I get all that. So this is pure, everything I just said is pure speculation. But it just doesn't really kind of make sense that the Cowboys were sitting there and randomly Val's walked in and not actually, but his manager's gone, "Hey, we want to look elsewhere," and the club's just gone, "Oh yeah, sweet, don't worry about it." You wouldn't, if you wanted to keep him, you would be like,
you wouldn't allow it.
Yeah, you'd be like, "Nah, we're not doing that. We want you here for next year." So I don't know. if I'm being honest, I think it's a mixture of both.
That makes the most sense to me.
I think the Cowboys were looking at it going, he's on $900,000 next year. His form hasn't been the best this year. He's getting older. We've got some really good young outside backs. And then Bell is looking at it going, I'm probably not going to get extended here. And, you know, for whatever reason, it's just not really working out. And that's how it's happened. And I think that, you know, the club wants to save face, rightly so, by going like, you know, we didn't just tap them. Because it never looks good for the club to its fans that they tap players on the shoulder and say, you can look elsewhere. It's like, it never looks good because the fans love the players.
They'll always choose to save face.
But yeah, I mean, you could speak about it, Sandor. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's no way you're going to open the door for a potential of him exploring his options and looking for another club.
If you want him.
Yeah, 100%. It's just black and white.
So yeah, it was. And in saying that, like from Todd's perspective, it could be the case that, because like it's not just coaches that do the recruitment.
No.
Matter of fact, a lot of the time the coaches will like say yes and no, but it's actually a recruitment committee. So there is a world where Todd was like, oh shit, like, oh okay, you want to leave and you don't want to keep him. There is that could happen. So that could be why it looks a bit confusing that Toddy Payton is like, we were a bit surprised because he could have been a bit surprised. He could have been working under the assumption that he's going to be here next year.
Oh, and for those who don't know, like coaches are definitely not the only one at the table making
full
decisions
teams
about recruitment.
There's literally full recruitment
100%.
teams that have like full on 5 to 10 year plans, trying to balance the salary cap and that. To be honest, I think it's a good mutual situation.
Yeah,
Val will get his money's worth next year. And the Cowboys have got some really good young fellas come through. I don't personally think there's a bad guy in this situation.
no, I think it makes sense.
Yeah, so is what it is. So with the Cowboys, we already spoke about it, but they just, they just should have put him away. I will say, Scotty Drinkwater, mate.
When he wants to turn it on.
When he wants to turn it on.
There's no one better.
Put it this way, when he wants to turn it on, when it comes to ball playing, he's up there with the best.
And he's willing to do things that others probably won't.
Yeah. Reece Walsh is like more, like they're almost inverse of each other. Like Reece Walsh, he's running, and then like Scotty Drinkwater more ball playing, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I would say Scotty Drinkwater is a top 3 fullback ball playing in the competition.
Yep, I agree, 100%.
Be probably, him, Trell, KP, Walshy.
Yeah.
To a degree.
Yeah. I'd probably have, for ball playing, I'd probably have him above Walsh.
Yeah, I'd have him just above Walsh.
Yeah.
The hard one's Latrell and KP, where you'd have them.
Yeah.
Because Latrell...
I'd have Latrell at 1, I reckon.
He's so friggin' good.
Yeah. And KP, I mean, at his best is...
He's unbelievable as well.
Ball too.
But yeah, Scotty Drinkwater for me was absolutely
What
phenomenal.
about that grubber he put in for Talani?
And like this, I was looking at that and I was like, 100% he's obviously seen him out of position and just that's the option.
Mate. And players like Scotty Drinkwater, you need him to keep that kind of arrogant confidence to be able to just back himself.
You've got to
if
give him a license.
Yeah, if he hesitates for half a second, that's not on.
You got to accept with the good with the bad with drinking.
It's a little bit like Reece Walsh. And he actually doesn't have as many errors as Reece Walsh, but it's a little bit like that where you kind of go... Don't get me wrong, sometimes you wish they'd rein in a little bit, and it's actually funny. We had Scotty Drinkwater on the captain's run quite a while back, and we actually discussed that and I think we even had Toddy Payton on one stage too, where when he first got there, he was just willing to anything, anytime, anywhere, and they've tried to find a real good balance between letting Scotty Drinkwater do what he does best, which is carve teams up, but also not making as many errors. But yeah, he was electric. He was electric last night.
Good.
Anyone stand out for you, boys?
I just love to see, I know we've spoken about it, but I just love to see the fullbacks go at it. The Buller and Drinkwater, because I've not been disappointed, but like, because Buller just shot out of I know we got back to Tigers, because Buller just shot out of the blocks last year. And then he has had quiet games this year, and then Drinkwater's been up and down this year as well, but to see them both just at full flight last night, it was bloody awesome.
And, I got to give props. I'll tell you who I just love. This is a bit of a shout out to the wingers, but you know what you're always going to get from Kyle Felt. I just respect the way he gets about his business. He's still there. He's still doing his job, still doing his thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I just can't stop watching Dearden. I just love watching him play.
Butler.
He's just...
Talangi was outstanding again as well.
Yeah.
I really want to see Talangi in real life, because on TV, he looks like such a beast. He's just an athlete.
He looks big, like strong.
Huge, yeah.
I don't know if I've seen him.
I don't think I've seen him.
He looks like
properly.
a big boy. He's so underrated, man.
Oh,
He's
bloody
so
oath he is.
underrated. He's an Origin winger and he never gets talked about.
But then
And he-
again,
and he-
that's his demeanour. That's his style. He's never going to be
Not too
able.
leery.
His Origin series last year was so good.
So good.
Can we get the body stats there on on Papalii?
Yeah.
All right, don't forget, guys, menu log. Nathan Cleary was our hungriest player. Use code Cleary for $7 off your order this week. Minimum spends $20. Use code Cleary. As always, guys, every time you use these codes, you're actually supporting Bloke. They look at it. They, when we go into negotiations about next year, they go, okay, the codes we use this amount of times. Yep, this partnership's worth it. So not only do you get the discount, you're supporting Bloke as well. So use code Cleary for $7 off this week. Minimum spend $20. Don't forget also, all 8 games are live and ad-free during Play on K. Some key games this week are Titans v Broncos, Storm v Dragons, Sharks v Rabbitohs, exclusive to Fox League and available on KO.
He's 6'2", 103 kilos according to
Yeah,
Cowboys
solid.
website. Fuck.
That's so big.
Massive.
Solid.
102 kilos, as a winger. Far out.
It's big.
Brian Toto has put all the rumours to bed. So he said, thanks for all the support, fams. Nothing to see, not going anywhere, no shopping here. Let's get it. Again, all pure speculation, but I reckon I said we're upgrading. Yeah.
Oh, they have, surely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Which is, you know what? We often are very critical about clubs, but the Panthers, if they did upgrade him, they deserve a rap for that.
100%.
They deserve a rap for that because he deserves it. And they have the Panthers had every right to go, mate, you signed a decent contract back in 2022. Yep. The reason why you signed such a long contract is because you wanted the security. And so now you're coming back to us saying you want more money. Well, you should have signed a shorter deal back then, but you didn't. They could have said that, but they didn't. And so they upgraded him. So I do think the Panthers, if they did upgrade him, which I think they did, the fact that he didn't say anything until the day after his manager and that went in, I think they did. I think the Panthers deserve a rap for that.
Huge props to Penrith.
Yeah.
I know Penrith, there are some situations where they, critter comes to mind where they might have handed it to people's liking. But
They're ruthless. They're
exactly.
winners.
But the last two, how they just let Fisher Harris go home to New Zealand, and now this, you got to give them applause.
Yeah, absolutely. So fair play to the Panthers. I really appreciate that as just a fan of the game, especially a guy like Toto. Usually, when a guy is sitting there going, "Oh, I deserve more," they've played half a year of good footy, and you're like, mate, come on. You've played a year of good footy, and now all of a sudden you want a massive upgrade.
Yeah.
Whereas Toto, he has been
Mate, there's no one more consistent.
10 out of 10 for
ridiculous.
years. There's honestly, there might be one player from each club, literally that's how little that genuinely deserve upgrades on their contract right now. That you would go,
Justify.
it's justified for them to say, you know what, I want to increase. Yeah, so good on Bizza and good on the Panthers. Alrighty, let's get into some tips brought to you by Sportsbet. Warriors, Eels, what are you going?
The Waz.
Warriors.
Okay. Dolphins, Roosters.
Ooh. I want to back the Dolphins.
I think Roosters. They're so good unless they play Storm or Penrith. It's crazy.
Titans, Broncos.
No idea.
Titans.
Literally flip of the coin this one.
Probably Broncos.
Storm, Dragons. Storm. Dragons paying $7.
Wow.
I reckon that's too. I'm tipping Storm, obviously.
That's
but
too much.
That's way too
Because you
much.
don't know this Dragon side. You don't know what they're going to do. They could rock up and play like friggin' world beaters.
They're the most inconsistent team in the comp. Sometimes
in a good way.
Yeah.
Compared to where they were.
Yeah. Oh man,
$7.
Throw a cheeky on for $7.
$7 is juicy.
that's crazy.
Sharkies, Rabbitohs.
Oh, Sharks. Cody Walker's out.
Oh, Sharkies.
Panthers, Knights.
Penrith.
Panthers.
Doggies, Raiders.
Oh,
Raiders are 306. I reckon that's overs. I reckon that's juicy.
that is.
Are they 306?
306 and it's Papalii's
Big Dogs
300.
300.
And you know the Raiders, they love this shit. They love being underdogs. The Bulldogs, they could be too high on their own supply after dominate the Broncos.
I'm going to go Dogs.
I'm tipping Dogs, but
Yeah,
that's a
I'd
high
love to see
price
the
for.
Green Machine get up.
Okay. All right, that's us done and dusted. Don't forget, grab a case of Bloke beer from your local. Give the great Sandor a follow. Also, if you're in Grouse Hill, get into
on
Air
down.
Locker. Or if you're not there and you've got a local Air Locker near, get into your local Air Locker. And as usual, we'll go and fuck ourselves. Thank you.
Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.